what's up guys? My name is Zach and today I am driving a 1995 Chevy C1500. Up front is a 5.3 liter V8 and down below is a 5-speed manual transmission. Now, I am super excited to be driving this C1500 for two reasons. First of all, I'm really excited to talk about the naming that Chevy was doing in this era. C means that it was two-wheel drive. K, if it was a K1500, would have meant that it was four-wheel drive. And so there's a lot of history and different things beyond that we'll talk about, but also this is an engine-swapped vehicle. It has a 5.3 liter out of a 2004 Chevy Tahoe stuffed under the hood, and so we have a lot to talk about. But if you would like to submit your own vehicle, you can head on over to my website, zachpradel.com/submit. It's a quick and easy submission form. It takes under a minute to fill out, and I come out to you. But let's get back to that 5.3 liter V8 swapped under the hood. Well, like I said, it was from a 2004 Chevy Tahoe, and it is of the LS family, although this particular engine didn't have the LS designation. And all things considered, it actually fit up pretty well to this chassis. This is the standard 5-speed manual that came in the C1500. And the gearing is relatively short. This was a work truck. This originally came with a 305, and so it was meant to feel a little bit zippier, but now with the 5.3, it's a lot zippier. Woo! Yeah. Like I said, because it is a C1500, it is rear-wheel drive, and it does have the standard rear gearing out at the back, but let me tell you, this thing is a hoot and a half. It's really fun to drive. It doesn't make all the power in the world. The V8 is very lazy, but it makes a great noise. The manual transmission is a lot of fun, and it drives like something more modern than it actually is. This car is older than me, but the heart isn't. I love it. This truck drives wonderfully. So how does it feel to drive the C1500 with a 5.3 swapped into it? It's lovely, it's fun, it's responsive, and the newer engine really wakes it up. I've driven other CK platform vehicles like this. I actually recently drove a 2500 out in Oregon, shout out to Daniel, and that truck was good, but it's very subdued. It feels like it was on sleeping pills compared to this truck, and that's always cool to see. I love it when engine swaps actually positively affect a vehicle, because that's not always the case. With that stuff out of the way, let's talk about the interior. This is going to be 90% actual C1500 from 1995, besides the seats, but we'll talk about that in a second. In front of me, I have 6 gauges. Off to the left is my tachometer, speedometer in the center, and off to the right we have the fuel, battery voltage, oil pressure, and coolant temperature. The steering wheel does have an airbag, the supplemental inflatable restraint, but otherwise it's pretty bland. Off to the left we do have a climate control vent, as well as our headlight switches and dome lights. And moving out of the door, we have our lock and unlock and cranks for the windows. This is a work truck. When it rolled off the assembly line floor, it is and still is a work vehicle, so not a whole lot of features to show off in here. Moving into the center, we do have an aftermarket radio. Very rudimentary climate controls, fan speed off to the left, temperature in the center, where to send it off to the right, as well as we do have a cargo lamp button to the left, a little cubby, bunch of dead switches, and we do get a pull-out cup holder. So we will do a big friggin' bottle test. However, predictably, because I don't think almost any pull-out cup holders have ever passed, the C1500 from 1995, as I downshifted this light, fails the big friggin' bottle test. Off to the right, we do have more cup holder indentations on the dash. Now, this does fit the big friggin' bottle width-wise, but as soon as you start moving, it falls over and falls onto the floor. So this is not a pass either, but cool to see that the dash had some sort of integration for that. When you're out at the work site, you can put your cup up on the dash without too much worry. Just don't start driving. We have more climate control vents over there. Very plasticky interior. And then moving down into the center, we have the ashtray, cigarette lighter, and two 12-volt outlets, which say pull on them. Not very common to see that, where they actually have to tell you, hey, pull this thing out, huh? Then we do have the shifter on the floor. Very, very tall shifter. Like I said, this actually is the factory shifter. So again, very rubbery, very work truck-y, but it works. And the floor has this rubberized floor mat that is synonymous with work trucks. You got a spill, you got dirty boots, whatever it is, you're not gonna care stomping it around here in your C1500, and that's nice to see. Now, the unoriginal part of this interior are the seats. A previous owner put in these SRT Hellcat seats. They're very comfortable, but they're not factory, so we can't comment on them too much. But in terms of comfiness, I'm actually pleasantly enjoying them today. Now, we don't have any back seats, but we do have the bed, and it is decently spacious. No amenities back there. Modern truck beds have outlets, lights, blenders, toaster ovens, and TVs, but this doesn't have any of that. It's a really clean and simple. However, speaking of clean and simple, let's talk about the exterior. I love this sort of green aqua color. It's so unapologetically 90s. It is lovely. And I think the GMT 400, which is the chassis of this vehicle, was actually really well styled for its era. And I've always loved looking at them, and so it's fun to be driving another one. However, with all of that being said, let's get on to my final thoughts. What do I think driving a 5.3 liter V8 swapped C1500? Well, let's talk about this specific truck real quick. It's lovely. This driving experience is so fun. The V8 really wakes the truck up. The manual transmission is glorious, shifts way better than I thought it was going to, and overall, just driving this truck is such a blast. And that's all thank you to the 5.3, which, all things considered, isn't a very hard swap, which is definitely nice to see. If you have a C1500 and the motor's on its way out, not a bad idea. But I do want to talk about the C1500 because I recently had the opportunity in December of last year to drive a 1987 Chevy V10 Silverado. So I want to talk about the names. So in the late 80s, GM was getting ready to redesign their full-size pickup trucks. They had been producing the K10 for well over a decade. It was time to do something. But they were still going to continue that series of truck for a little bit longer after they introduced the new truck, which was this, the GMT 400 platform. So in 1987, they rebranded their trucks to the V10 and the R10, which then allowed for this truck to then be named the C1500 and K1500 because the old truck had taken on a new name. That's a whole lot of business. My ending point is that this wasn't even a Silverado either. The Silverado was just a package. You could get that as a sort of add-on trim level type deal. So from 1987 till about 2004, the names of these pickup trucks changed quite a bit. And it wasn't until the GMT 800 platform that they stuck with the Silverado name and then have carried that on up through today. That's still the modern name of their full-size pickup truck is the Chevy Silverado. There's even the Chevy Silverado EV now. So that was another reason I was excited to do sort of a deeper dive and figure some stuff out about Chevy full-size pickup trucks and their naming. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to RJ for letting me take out his C1500. RJ has been a wonderful asset to the channel, a great friend. I've reviewed a bunch of his cars in the past. He came out to the Sack Lunch Cruise last year. He is absolutely wonderful to work with. When he told me he picked one of these up, I was very excited to check it out. And driving it with a 5.3 liter and a 5-speed manual, well, that's quite wonderful too. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.